Ghosts of Mississippi, also called Ghosts from the Past, is a 1996 biographical film about the murder of Medgar Evers and the trial that was relaunched quite a number of years later. And I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of Medgar Evers, so I had no context to begin with. My entire knowledge of this case is based purely on this film. I would be very interested to know if there are any inaccuracies or if there's anything where they maybe stretch reality a little bit. So if you do know any of that, please feel free to let me know. But this is directed by Rob Reiner, written by Lewis Connick, and we have Alec Baldwin as Bobby DeLaughter, who is the attorney who is working to get the potential murderer convicted. And it's a pretty challenging job, I will say. It's very intense, and I'm glad that I never knew the outcome of this or what happened with this case, because I feel like the narrative, certainly in the film, whether or not this is exactly what it was like, I'm not sure, but it's never quite clear how people are reacting to Byron Beckwith, the accused, and what he did, what his, or how the jury were going to find him. And it does take quite a lot of emotion to stay focused and not get kind of caught up in the moment when you remember that it's not a narrative, not fiction, because it's quite easy to think, oh, this is gripping, this is really well written, this is fabulous. But then you remember that it was a true story, and it kind of hits you a little bit. Having said that, the opening was dramatic. The film opens in a way that's very dramatic and very captivating, and then I found it was kind of boring. For maybe the first hour of the film, it's over 2 hours, it's quite detailed, but I did find the first half of it to be really slow, not very well developed. Obviously, because it's based on truth, there's only so much that they can do with creative liberties to make it more interesting. But I felt like they took too long to get to the point. They took too long to get to the intricacies of the court case, and I suppose I should probably tell you what this is about. Medgar Evers was a black individual who was murdered in 1963. He was a civil rights leader. He was murdered um, supposedly by a white individual. He is the accused. Um, and of course, it's a court case about a racial murder and justice that is deserved. Whether or not that justice will be served, though, I'm not going to say it, but as I said, it could go either way. You know, I felt like the entire time both sides of the court case had pretty strong arguments, and if those are direct quotes from the case, or at least the evidence presented, the defences presented, if they were actually lifted from the true events, then I can see why this would have been a really challenging case to sit through, to present. Whoopi Goldberg, who I love, plays Myrlie Evers, the widow of Medgar, and obviously I thought she was brilliant in this. I really enjoyed Alec Baldwin in this as well. I thought he did a great job as the lawyer. Really enjoyed watching his performance in the courtroom, and the scenes in the courtroom itself were brilliant. They were gripping. In the first hour, though, I just feel like it was really quite slow, and they could have cut out quite a lot without losing any of the important facts that carried the narrative. There were some interesting things in that first hour, mainly involving Bobby's family and kind of threats that were made. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but generally speaking, I feel like the first half just it dragged quite a bit. But once it got going, once it picked up momentum, I can see why it was nominated for 2 Oscars. It was nominated for the Best Actor in a Supporting Role to James Woods, and it was also nominated for Best Makeup, which is slightly peculiar. I liked it. I did like it. I didn't think I was going to finish this discussion saying I liked it because, as I said, it was very slow. But once it got going, I'm glad I gave it a chance. I'm glad that I stuck with it because it was really interesting, really fascinating. I think James Woods deserved that nomination because playing Byron Beckwith was very moving, and very very convincing with a lot of what he was saying and his mannerisms. I don't know exactly how much he emulated Byron Beckwith, of course, but I found it to be really enjoyable for all of the right reasons. If it sounds like your kind of film, then I think it's something that you will enjoy. Just if it does feel a little bit slow, stick with it. It is a good film.